All right, so today's video is why New Yorkers don't pay contractors. So I had an air conditioner that was leaking and we had somebody come by to fix the situation, and this is what they wanted money for. So as you can see, there's a little funnel, and the funnel is then duct taped to the air conditioner, which is, I guess, packing tape to the air conditioner. The packing tape then holds the tube to the window where it then drips on the letters. This is why people in New York City are in constant dispute with contractors. It's the thing. I don't know what to. I am beyond. I don't know what to say. Jason, what do you think? What do you think?
I like the funnel.
Dude, this is why I don't hire contractors for anything. I'd rather just have a hole in my floor. All right, so I gotta teach. So that's it for today. And as always, I hope you learned something.
Hey everybody, Weldon Long here. Welcome to the show. And that is not how you want to do an installation, is it, John?
No, it's not. Even though I must admit that in my first house, I did have a little bit of a rig like that. I was down in Florida and the drainage pipe was clogged. So at one point I had the pipe coming out of that into the washer machine. It was just bad news.
Well, now that you got a better job, though, you probably got a clean system.
Yeah.
Hey, everybody, again, Weldon Long, John Ketchell here with me again today. How you doing?
I'm doing great.
Good to see you. I'm doing great, man.
Good.
I was just out in Maui for a week, finishing up a new book. Got a new book coming out at the first of the year. I'm working the title, so I'm not going to say anything about it yet, but we'll let you know very, very soon. Over the last week, our last week's show, we were talking about some of the 10 key components that you really have to address in your company. The 10 key areas if you want to have that transformational kind of, really great growth, high profitability, high margins, et cetera, et cetera. We talked about 3 of the major components. We talked about prosperity mindset training. Everybody's got to have that right mindset. We talked about the sales process. You got to have everybody, who is selling, and they got to learn how to sell properly. And then we talked about tech communications and making sure that our technicians can have the communication skills. Once upon a time, it was enough to be a great technician, right, to be successful. Now you've got to be a great technician, and you also have to be a great communicator. So those are 3 of the areas. And of course, at EGIA, at the Contractor University, we have online programs to teach your people all those skills that they're going to need to help you grow your company. This week, we're going to talk about a few more of the programs, because again, each of these areas have to be addressed. Now, I will caution you or remind you that you don't need to take all of these on at one time. One of the things I love about what Gary Alex does in his consulting programs is once he identifies the areas that have to be dealt with, he helps you prioritize them, right? And so you're not going to try to get all these done in 1 week or 1 month. It might take you a year to totally turn around your company. But stop and think about it. If your company's been open 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, and you're not getting the financial results that you want, or if you've been in this business as a technician or a sales professional and you're not getting the sales results that you want, it's not unreasonable to expect to take 6 months or a year to kind of turn things around. So we want you to move through this process, but we don't want you to feel like you have to bust through it and just get through it very quickly. In fact, we want you to take your time so that you ensure the comprehension and the implementation of the training. But today, we're going to talk about the 4th component of these 10 components we've been talking about, and that is CSR training. We all know that the first impressions that our customers are going to have are from the people that answer the phone. So John, let's talk about that. Let's talk about the first impressions. And you're working with contractors as one of our coaches and business development guys. What stories have you heard? How important is it to make sure that we have that great first impression?
Well, obviously it's crucially important. It's another customer engagement. It's another experience that our customers are deciding who we are as a company and the type of services that we deliver. As we said, it's the first impression. And as you know, when yourself or Gary or Drew go out and you guys do some of your training events and we're reaching out to clients or potential clients that aren't in our program, we get a wide variety of responses when we call those folks up. And, although I certainly get that, hey, this isn't a customer per se, and it might be a gatekeeper kind of situation, the reality is that how they're doing things is probably the way they're doing things all the time.
Right.
And, Keith and myself often think to ourselves when we hang up the phone, is this a company I want to do business with?
Right.
And that impression is so crucial because unfortunately many times, those calls are coming in and you're not the only company they're calling. They're calling other companies. So they've got to decide that, and sometimes they're deciding that from the 5-minute phone call. So to have a process to understand the core values, how to deliver that experience that exceeds their expectations is so crucial because it is the first impression.
And because it is the first impression, really our CSRs are the brand ambassadors, the first contact that folks are going to have with their customers. And one of the things that we always encourage contractors to do is to make sure that your company, everybody in your company, technicians, sales professionals, CSRs, you got to make sure they're having a different conversation than every other contractor is having with that homeowner. As John mentioned, your homeowners typically are going to be calling a couple of 3 companies, and it's your first opportunity to completely differentiate yourself. Right? You want to have a different conversation. They're getting these, these responses, hey, Joe's AC, how can I help you? Whatever it is, right? We want to make sure that they have a completely different experience, that they realize that they're calling a professional company, a real company. I can't tell you how many times that I've called companies doing market research, and it goes to a voicemail, right?
Yeah.
Or it goes to somebody who's in an attic or in a truck or something. And if you're a small company, that may be the case at times. But listen, it's very inexpensive to hire a professional company to answer your phones.
Right.
These days with the internet, they have all type of companies that don't even have to be in your area, but your phone calls are routed through them. You give them the information of how they should be treating your customers, what they should be saying, and they'll give a very professional impression to your customers. It's critically important. If it's your internal CSR people, obviously it's really important as well. John, one of the things you had here in the notes is we all want to book more appointments from both inbound and outbound calls. A company will spend a lot of time and money to make the phone rings, but how often do they fail to spend money to make sure those companies, or those calls rather, are handled properly when they come in?
Far too often. Once again, we're calling these companies, we're getting that firsthand experience. They may not know who we are. So we're getting a pretty raw experience of what's going on when the people are answering the phone. And once again, we have great companies, and we've got companies that are not so great. And the difference is just remarkable. To have a process, to have them handle it, not only for the support of the service techs that are going to go out there, or the comfort advisors that are going to go out there and talk to these customers as well, but just the general idea of this company is much more professional. These are the guys we want to do business with.
Right.
And that's the impression that we want to get. And as we know, when we talk about exceeding expectations, the great thing about exceeding expectations is it is going to give us the right to charge what we deserve to get charged, which in many cases is a little bit more than what we're charging now. We know that exceeding that expectation is going to be able to deliver the wow experience, as we call it.
Yep.
And that's going to add to profitability. And nothing goes up when you are able to charge a little bit more. And we're not talking about, hey, we're going to raise our prices by 20% or whatever. But even just a little bit is going to go directly to the bottom line. And as part of these 10 cores, it's each particular category, each vertical, as we like to call them. If we do a little bit better on those, whether it's 1 point or 2 point better in each one of these categories, that's how we get to the 20% bottom line.
Yeah, it's the accumulation. A little improvement on sales, a little improvement on tech communications, a little improvement on how we answer the telephones. All those things add up to create really transformational results. We leverage those little improvements. But when you think about this, your company spends 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, maybe 9, 10% of total revenue on marketing to get those phones to ring, and that's what it takes. I remember in my company, our first year, we spent 15%. We were a brand new company, and we put 15% of our total revenue back into marketing. Now, we were able to bring that down over the years, but whatever your company's spending, it's a considerable amount of money, right? Even if it's only 3, 4, or 5%. So, you got to make sure that you're investing, money it won't be as much money probably, but some money into training your CSRs, whoever is answering that phone. And by the way, if you're the owner, don't hesitate to go through the training yourself. You might be taking some calls. Have everybody in your company, my accountant, our accounting people, sometimes if we're really busy, they might have to take a call. Guess what? They knew how to take a call. They knew how to treat a customer. Because again, as the brand ambassador, as the first contact with our customer, the reality is we have to make sure that they get that wow experience John's talking about, and that they know they're talking to a different kind of company. Next thing I want to talk about in terms of this overall concept of CSR training and development, I'm a big believer in process. That's why I spend so much time on the sales process, so much time on the mindset process. When you think about the operations of your company, you have a process to run a service call, right? In terms of your diagnostic, you have a process to do an installation. Well, we understand how processes are important in all those areas to make sure that we get consistent results, because consistent results can only come from consistent activities, right? That's called a process. So it's just as important as a CSR. We have to have a process. We don't want to just randomly take those calls. You have to have a process. If it's a sales call, it's a certain process. If it's a service call, a demand call, it's a different process. One of the things that we did in my company very successfully was direct mail marketing. And the responses that would come in, I've seen so many companies will spend money on direct mail, but they spend zero time, money, and resources on preparing their company to take those calls. Listen, if you're doing direct response marketing, people are calling in typically to get information, right? On some special, some promotion, whatever it is. That's a much different call than somebody calling in saying, hey, my air conditioner's not working. So you have to make sure your people are trained to take each kind of call because they're each different. They may have scripts, specific things they need to accomplish. Let me give you an example. When I would do direct mail, we did 20,000 direct mail pieces a week, right? That was 1 million pieces a year, by the way, in a town of about 140,000 single-family homes. That means I was in your mailbox every 6 or 7 weeks, right? Now, those were direct response leads, but what that means is it was some special. Save $1,000, get us, get air conditioning free, pay for installation only, whatever the promotion was. Those types of marketing efforts are going to get people to call in that would not necessarily be calling in otherwise. They're calling in because of the savings, because of the special. Their system's working fine. They just want to get more efficient. So those people are calling to get information. They have to be handled very, very specifically. And we had certain people trained in certain things they would say to get one of our guys in the house. Again, that's a much different situation than somebody calling and saying my AC isn't working. But because we did such a good job of setting those leads, we knew that we were going to get about 1/10% response. So on 20,000 direct mailers, I'm going to get 20 sales calls, 20 calls. I got to make sure and book every one of those calls. Because what happens with some companies, they'll spend the money in marketing. People will call in and say, Joe's AC, a new AC is about $6,000 or whatever it is, and that lead gets lost. So you have to train your people to book those leads and to handle them properly so that you capitalize the marketing money. Then our revenue per lead in our company was about $4,000. So I knew that 20 leads was going to convert to roughly $80,000. 10% of that was $8,000. Guess what? That paid for the next week's 20,000 direct mailers. So the system worked for me, but it was only because we knew how to set those calls and to capitalize. So John, I just want to get your 2 cents on this concept of process.
Absolutely.
And how important it is based on the contractors that you've worked with over the years and continue to work with. How important is process, having the right process to book that call when it comes in?
Well, it's tremendously crucial. I mean, that person is actually selling the appointment at that point. I mean, the call is coming in, they're fine, and they've got to have a process to sell that.
Right.
The other thing, too, is that, whether it's a new CSR or whether it's a CSR that's not having the greatest day, process is going to guide you through. It's going to keep you on track. It's going to cover the bases. And then, of course, last but not least, is that when the company advisor gets out there or the service tech gets out there, we want to make sure that that's teed up the best way possible for those guys so they can maximize that opportunity as well.
Right. So obviously you can see it's really important. Your CSRs, now your CSRs are sometimes referred to as CSRs, sometimes as lead coordinators. We had certain people that would set service calls, right, their CSRs, and then we had a lead coordinator that was there specifically to set replacement opportunities. In your company, if you're smaller, you might have one person doing some of both, and that's fine, right? You might be the owner in setting both, but you still got to know how to do it. So whoever's talking to those customers, the CSR's got to be trained. The lead coordinator, they have to be trained according to what kind of calls are taken. We have an entire comprehensive online program to train your CSRs. All you have to do is pull it up on the Contractor University platform and click on the first button, and it will take you through the entire training. You watch a little 10-minute module, you take a test. It automatically advances you to the next module, you take the test. And so put your CSRs in front of this. You can do an hour of training a week or 30 minutes a day or take a half a day and go through the whole program, whatever you want to do. But you got to get your guys through the program. One of the most undervalued things in our industry is training. We undervalue the importance of training. That hurts our industry. So we got to get our act together and step up to the plate as far as that goes. Final comments on CSR training?
It's just in training in general, it's crazy, if many times this is going to be so far less than 1% of the total revenue.
Yeah.
When you think about a training program, especially our training program, as a nonprofit organization, we obviously have the best deal in town.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's such a small thing and can impact every aspect of the company. I mean, if you're talking about really like 1/10 of a point in many of our companies that are that size, and can really make a difference of 10% on the bottom line. It's just huge return on investment.
Yeah. Well, and if you have any questions, go over to the best practices site. There's an Ask the Experts button there. You can submit those questions, and we'll filter those and assign them to the right person. It's one of the benefits of being an EGIA premium member. You get to have interaction with myself, with John, with Drew Cameron, with Gary Alex, any of the staff members at the EGIA Contractor University. Next, I want to talk about one of the most undervalued qualities in a company. Yeah, is leadership. One of the things that I've learned over the course of my life is how important it is to be able to organize your company and become an effective leader. Now, my hero, one of my idols in this genre, was Stephen R. Covey, who wrote The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Dr. Covey wrote that book in 1989, and one of the things that Dr. Covey, by the way, that program has been taught in 2/3 of Fortune 500 companies around the globe, and I've had the privilege of teaching it very, very often. I've got a program, we teach it in the HVAC industry, but we also have a program developed with me and with Gary Ellis that's online and available for you to go through the leadership principles. Now, in this program, you're going to learn to see the big picture, the medium picture, and the small picture. One of the things that we know is that leaders are different from managers. Managers are doing things right. Leaders are doing the right things. The leader's job is to survey the landscape and make sure the company's heading in the right direction. So, John, just to kind of discuss on this, one of the first notes you have here is that the course is focused on the leadership team and the development of the operating plan. Talk to me about the scope in terms of, is that big picture, medium picture, or small picture?
It starts at the very, very biggest picture, the core values, what our company is going to stand for, what our mission statement is going to be, what the vision of our company is, what that company is going to look like in a year, what that company is going to look like in 3 years. Right. And then it drills down all the way to every individual activity and behavior that's going to be focused on that company. Now, as we know, the 10 core are the first step. This is the fundamental. We're going to talk about, the operations and the leadership division and whatnot. And then we have the higher level and the core best practices. But this course, and it happens to be my favorite course, when I think about the contractors that we've dealt with who, say, hey, I just figured this out 5 years ago or whatnot. And how much time, we talked a little bit about how much time it should take to build a company. If you want an enduring company that's going to last 20, 30 years, many of our contractors are passing their companies on to their children. That kind of legacy and that kind of advantage. And this course and the subsequent material that follows this course just really follows every activity that you need to do. It is a simple step-by-step plan to create this model. And it's a model that, when I think of the fact that, yourself, Gary, Drew, Mike, and all the other folks that got together over a year ago, and you really looked at what is common in all our successful businesses, not to mention all the businesses that we've consulted. I mean, between the 14 of you, it's probably 1,000 companies at least, I would guess, at least. Yep. And identifying these 10 core, which is ultimately the common denominators in all of these successful companies, is really the genesis for these 10 core programs. But leadership ties it all together. Yep. When you go through the leadership course, you're not only going to learn those fundamental leadership skills that we talk about in the 7 habits, but they're going to be brought down to where the contractor is using them. Both yourself and Gary have developed that. And once again, as we go through this course, and this is why, maybe I'm drinking a lot of Kool-Aid on this, but I just love it because it is a step-by-step process to do it. It is a model. You don't have to figure it out anymore. You've got it there for you.
Right. When you think about leadership, the first thing that jumps to mind, which we cover in this program, it's really broken down according to those 3 components. The strategic leadership, which is the big picture, the vision, the mission statement, where is the company going, what are our primary objectives. Then the kind of operational leadership that John's talking about, that we got to have operational plans for each department, operations, sales,
activities,
marketing,
behaviors.
Exactly, all those different things. And then, of course, the third component of being an effective leader is the communication skills. We got to make sure we know how to talk to people. Dr. Covey used to often talk that we have to learn to listen with the intent to understand rather than listening with the intent to respond. And this is a real common problem for people, especially A-type people who are inclined to open up their own company. We think we have all the answers. That's why we open a company, because we know what the hell we're talking about, right? So the reality is you got to make sure that even though you may have the answers, you still have to listen with the intent to understand what your people, your suppliers, your customers are talking about before you respond. We want to make sure that we're, really responding to the issues that impact our company. So we start with the strategic leadership. What's the big picture, right? Begin with the end in mind. As Dr. Covey would say, what's the outcome? What's the end game we're looking for? Then we got to have the operational plans for each various function in our business, and then of course the communication skills. One of the notes you have here, John, is one from my book, The Power of Consistency. You can't do all the right things in your life and your business and accidentally create the wrong results. If you do the right things, you get the right things, right? A lot of times people will get the bad results and they'll say, well, I'm doing everything I can. Well, that's probably not true. Because if you're really doing everything right, you may be doing all you can, but that doesn't mean it's right. Yeah. If you're doing the right things on a consistent basis, you're going to get the right results. You got a note here, John, problem. Most companies do not know what the true path to success is. They're using a trial and error method to create the business model and operating plan. Talk to me about how our training, focuses on correcting that problem.
Once again, it is it is the wealth of experience that the faculty has brought together, not only their own companies, but all the companies that you guys have consulted for, and truly identifying what is working everywhere, in all of the markets and all of the seasons, and consistently working. And once again, that's the right things, and those are the 10 core products. The other thing I would definitely say about this is that it really shows how everything melds together.
Right.
In the leadership course, we're going to deal with those higher levels, but when we start drilling down into a little bit, we're really going to identify how the different pieces play together. And they all play together. They are synergistic. They are greater than the sum of their parts. So how does the marketing support the objectives? Once we establish the objectives, how do we use the marketing to support that? How do we use the pricing structure? How do we use our financial structure to make sure we're on path and whatnot?
Right. Yeah. One of the notes here I was just reading you had is we talk about, what is the need or what is the value or the absence of value if our leaders, and by leaders, by the way, I mean the owners and managers, but as individual service technicians, CSR, salespeople, if you plan to grow in your career, if you plan to be somewhere 5 years from now that you're not today, listen, part of that means you got to become an effective leader. Effective leaders are part and parcel of running a company. If you're going to grow through the ranks, you have to make sure that you are sharp in your leadership skills. So I don't care if you're not the owner. I don't care if you're not the manager. You got to go through leadership training. Understand what strategy means. Understand what operational plans are. Understand how to communicate with your fellow employees. Those are all the skills that you have to have if you're going to move up through the ranks. Now, when you're thinking about leadership, I want to talk about the problem with leaders making the mistake, which they often do, to micromanage every little thing. Once we get the operational plans, once we have the strategic plan, we get the operational plans, how detrimental is it for the company if the leader is in micromanaging every single thing? How much brain damage is it, and how effective is it?
Well, it's not really that effective anyway, because it tends to, people get a little tense about that. They're a little nervous. Like when we do like a one-on-one coaching session and, we have our company advisor, in front of us, but their owner is behind them.
Right.
They're not performing to their best of ability.
Right.
The old concept is hire the right people, put the systems in place that are going to guide them, identify the activities and the behaviors that you want them to do, and then let them have at it. Needless to say, of course, we need to have some management, but hiring those people and creating those systems, which is the task of the leadership team, to be able to make them go out and be able to make decisions on their own that are consistent with the core values of the company, is not only going to empower them and give them a sense of well-being and, quite frankly, attract better, employees to that company, because nobody likes to be micromanaged.
Right.
But in addition to that, as an owner, as a leader, we go into this business and we want to make ourselves some money and we want to have some time to spend it. And if you're micromanaging, you're 70, 80 hours a week, and that is not time, money, and freedom, and that's what our goal here is.
And I just want to remind everybody, this is a comprehensive A to Z leadership program. Gary Ellis was in the studio this summer, my God, I felt like hundreds of hours.
It felt like that.
And that was just the shooting part, right? Not to mention the 30 years he put into developing the leadership program. And so this is a comprehensive program. I chimed in a little bit, but the vast majority of the program was developed by Gary, his 30-year industry experience. I put my 2 cents in on the 7 Habits portion of it. But the reality is this is a very well thought out, a very comprehensive leadership program. The last note that you have here, John, this course will help you identify everything you got to do step by step to grow a profitable company. Listen, Gary Ellis has been around this industry, as I said, for 3 decades, and he's worked in every capacity: manufacturing, distribution, contractor, consultant, trainer, you name it. He's been in every conceivable role in this industry. As a result, he's got a broad perspective of what it takes to build a company, of what it takes to start from the ground and build up. So I just want to remind everybody about that. Now, again, like all the other programs here at Contractor University, you go into your main dashboard of the platform, you click on the leadership program, and again, it's going to walk you through module by module. Every module is anywhere from 5, 10, maybe 12, 15 minutes. You watch that module, you answer some questions, and you move on. Watch a couple modules a day. I mean, you got to have a little bit of time, to watch 1 or 2 modules a day. Over the course of a few weeks, you'll go through and have a huge understanding, a deep breadth of understanding about what it takes to be an effective leader. John, I think that's about our time for this week. I think we're kind of getting close. Next week, we're going to talk about the remaining 5 components, because we've talked about 5 of them. We talked about tech communications. We talked about prosperity mindset. We talked about the sales. Today, we talked about the CSR components and, of course, the leadership components. But there's 5 other components that we're going to talk about. And again, every one of these important components, we have an online training program for you to click on and learn this stuff. We're not telling you, hey, you got to know this stuff, and we're not going to teach it to you. Go figure it out. We're telling you got to know this stuff, and then we're giving you the platform the expertise, the training to go through each one of these topics, each one of these functions in your business and make sure that you become a master. Again, don't try to do it overnight, but if it took a year to do it, if it took you 5 years to get where you are, you don't have the results that you want, take a year and turn that bad boy around. We just got a letter just last week from a guy, they doubled their revenue. Right, in 1 year, they doubled their revenue with no additional overhead, by the way, and are ridiculously profitable now. And it took them a year to do it, but so what? It's worth the effort. Listen, if you don't do it a year from now, it's still going to be a year from now, right?
Yeah.
If you do it a year from now, it's still going to be a year from now, but you're going to have a bunch more money in your pocketbook, right? That's what it's all about. So appreciate your time, John. We'll look forward to see you in the next segment when we do the next week's show. In the meantime, you have a great week. Just stay focused. Stay out there, kick ass, take some names. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye for now.
Hold it, Ron.
Wait, on second thought, don't have a good week yet, right? I forgot to mention something. EGIA Contractor University is so committed to delivering value and content and information you can use to grow your company that I want to tell you about a bunch of new programs they're getting ready to release. First of all, on the 1st and 15th of each month, Mark Madison, the amazing Mark Madison, is releasing a new Contractor University podcast. Now, to get information on how you can download and get signed up for it, go to egia.org/podcast. Each 2 weeks, you'll get a new podcast from Mark, and it's just incredible information about everything you can think of, right? It could be operations, could be mindset, could be sales, could be marketing. Fantastic stuff. Also, EGIA is preparing to launch very, very soon some new Ask the Experts phone calls. On these phone calls, you get to call in, and it's a live conversation between you and the experts here at EGIA. So what we're doing, and starting on November 6th, Gary Alex and I are doing the Ask the Experts call at 10 a.m. Pacific time, which would be 11, 12, 1 o'clock Eastern time every Monday. You'll be able to jump on this phone call with us and ask Gary, ask me any question you want to from a management and leadership perspective, right? This call is for managers and leaders only. And then on Fridays at the same time, which would be 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern, we're going to have another call for staff and frontline people, right? That call will be hosted by Gary Alex, James Leichner, a couple other folks and guests they'll be having. But what that allows you to do as a technician, as a CSR, as a dispatcher, as a salesperson, to jump on that call and ask them any question in the world. These are live telephone calls. It's an amazing opportunity for you to get access to us. That's absolutely included in your premium membership. It is a premium membership thing, though. It's not the regular basic membership. So if you need to upgrade, go ahead and upgrade. Now have a great week. Say goodbye, John.
Bye now.
Say goodnight, Gracie.
Good night, Gracie.
Have a great week. See you soon, everybody. Bye-bye for now.